All right, so thank you for joining. As you know, I run the Storytellers Lounge in NapoRepublic, where a bunch of us just get together to write, improve our writing skills. We do sessions every week, and something that came up over the last 2 weeks, or more than 3, 4 weeks, have been people asking me about the NFT space. I would say I've been in it for a year now. So I'm not an expert. I'm just here to share my experience so far. Um, so basically, what is going on with all these NFTs? So this session currently is being recorded. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat. And if you have any questions, I would preferably try to save it towards the end of the session. I have about 20 slides here to go through, and I'll go through them hopefully in 40 minutes, and then open up the next 20 minutes for questions if you have anything. I'm still good, right? Sound wise. All right. Yes. Basically, this is what the format of this is going to be. We're going to talk about why NFTs, what they are, and third is how to get involved if you're curious, and then we open it up for Q&A. All right. So why NFTs? Is it a game changer or not? Is it a fad, or is it the most revolutionary thing we're seeing in the digital space so far? So I thought I'll just start it off with a quote from someone that I saw, and someone that has been following in the space. It said, like the internet in the 90s, or social media in the early 2000s, NFTs will go down in history as one of the most significant things to happen in modern technology and culture at large. So there's a lot of talk in the space. The people that are very big on crypto and NFTs, they are very bullish about what is happening. And then obviously, I have friends, family, people that are getting into the space, and they're just wondering, like, is this, I don't get it. I get that a lot. Like, I don't get what is going on. So um, I'll tell you how I got into it. A lot of you know that I write, I make music, I do a lot of different things. I run my own business. For me, my NFT journey, funny enough, started on LinkedIn, right? So in March, April 2021, I was on LinkedIn doing what people on LinkedIn do, commenting, um, posting, liking, reacting. And, I spent time on LinkedIn mainly to promote more of the artistic work that I do, not talking about my music, talking about the books that I've been writing, but also going there to learn from people. One of the biggest, what I say, personas or person that I learned from is Gary Vaynerchuk. So Gary V. All right. So I read a lot of his stuff. And in February 2021, I saw this post. Right there, it says NFTs feel so realistic, authentic to me. It's similar to the way I felt about social media. This is about to be a long and glorious road filled with learning and friendships. And I literally wrote down there, like, hold up, what is NFT? I searched, Google searched, and I went into a rabbit hole, basically. And, for me, when I started searching and looking around, trying to understand what it meant, trying to understand, the blockchain and how the NFTs play into this, I started seeing things that interested me because it started combining a lot of different parts of myself, the music, the writing, the technology, business. All of a sudden I'm like, oh man, if this thing is real, it could really open up things in terms of me piecing the different parts of myself together, right? So out of excitement, right, there were also a lot of things happening. I think around that time, a friend, while I was publishing Press Play, a friend was also writing a book called Super Fans, and she was talking about how musicians would start leveraging or relying more on their fans to be their main supporters as opposed to the music industry. And this was, connected to fans buying merch which, could be produced for cheap, but, sold at a higher value just because the fans want to support you. So I read that book like a year before. Then as I started reading about NFTs, I think SoundCloud, which I post a lot of my music on, kind of changed their algorithm to more of a fan-based or fan-powered royalty system. And then what's the name of the group again? Kings of Leon. Yeah, they dropped the first, what did people call the first NFT music album. And at the same time, Square was announcing to purchase Tidal, right? And you might know Tidal is the equivalent to Spotify, owned or developed and created by Jay-Z. And Tidal was being purchased by Square owned by Jack Dorsey, and Jack Dorsey was big into crypto. So all of a sudden, I don't know if the algorithm was targeting me because of what I was reading. It was just like everything was coming together. So out of excitement, I got on LinkedIn and typed up this post about how NFTs were changing the game with music and how it's going to be the next great thing, blah blah blah. And I got great six great reactions for my LinkedIn folks. But then, I just kept going, kept going into the space, learning some more, continuing. And it has really led me down a very interesting journey, right? So for me, I learned through doing. Like I can read stuff, but I have to like participate to really understand what is going on. So, a lot, as I said, Gary Vee was literally the person I started following, seeing what it was doing. He launched his NFT project called VeeFriends. As you can see, here is just a few of some of the things that I have purchased as NFTs. But this right here, this termite, as you can see, this beautiful drawing is the OG right there. That was the first ever NFT I purchased. Now, at that point when I was about to purchase this, I thought it was the craziest thing that I was about to do, because I'm buying this piece of art that is really just a market drawing, right? But the thing that made sense to me then was the fact that it came with a utility beyond the art, right? By having this token, I was going to get access to 3 years of a conference. When I did the calculation, I used to live in Austin. I used to see how much you could resell South by Southwest tickets. So I did the calculation and it kind of made sense. And I was like, okay, if anything, I don't know what's going to happen with the arts, with the project, but at least I'll have these tickets to go to this event. And it has really opened up a lot. This year, I finally went to the event in Minnesota, met a lot of good people, some of them on the call right now. We're all in this stadium meeting up for the first time, obviously after the pandemic. We saw Snoop, Pharrell, Miguel was there, a whole bunch of different people. And for me, trying to bring in music and art and technology, that merge was very important for me. So I learned a lot in this conference about Web3 and NFTs, and just learning from people. I think in general, what I find interesting is, Web3 is about, decentralized community building. You can meet people in different places, different facets of life, working together. There's a big thing about bringing people together. But also what I noticed at that conference was it's still dominated by mainly white male in the space. And, I just think there's more room for inclusion, for Black, brown people, for women, for different people that are just not represented currently in our economic, well, I say the template economic state. And so when people started asking me about this, I just thought it would be a good way to try to onboard some more people to at least, get more people into the space. So let's talk about what NFTs are, right? NFTs stand for non-fungible tokens, right? And it's a digital certificate that represents a one-of-a-kind asset. So to understand what does that really mean, let's just look at the definitions of fungibility. So fungibility is anything that could be interchanged. If you look at that, let's say graph right here, the top line are things that are fungible. So a dollar, you can, if you own a dollar and someone else has a dollar, you can swap a dollar and no loss of value. Is the exact same thing. You could do the same thing for digital currency. You have one Bitcoin, you can switch it for one Bitcoin minus the gas fees, but whatever it is, you could do a switch, right? Non-fungible are things that are unique. You can have, let me use a car for example. You can have two exact cars, but you can switch. One can have a different color. One could be an automatic drive. One could have some type of engine. I'm not really a car person. That that is more unique to that car. A painting is unique. If there's one painting, you can't really switch it out for the other one. A house, even if you have an identical house in an estate, for instance, one house could be on the lake and the other side is facing the highway. So there are these things where it's almost like you can't change, and that's what non-fungibility is. And for NFTs, by minting this digital asset to the blockchain, it has metadata that makes it unique, that nobody else has access to. Well, not that nobody else owns this token. A non-fungible token is a digital asset that is unique, that can be traded, is literally one-on-one, basically. Any type of media can be minted or tokenized. You can turn it into an NFT. It could be art, it could be a painting, it could be a picture, it could be a song, it could be anything. It could be this presentation that I'm presenting right now. I could go take this presentation, put it on the blockchain, and it's an NFT. And I know a lot of people get stuck on the word NFT because it sounds so buzzy and all that kind of stuff. And I would say, just think of it like MP3, right? MP3 from a music perspective really changed the game. Like, because of how compressed that MP3 format is, that's why we could share music, right? In the early 2000s, that's where Napster came from. That's where the iPhone, you could put all that music on your phone. That's where streaming services came from. But the technology is still MP3, right? You don't go around asking, what is MP3? You're literally just listening to music. So, I want to implore people to think of it that way, that NFT is just the term, acronym now, but it's the technology and the utility behind it that is actually more important than the name. All right, so the blockchain, the foundation, I'll do my best to talk about this. There are definitely people that have more expertise about talking about the blockchain, but it's an official ledger shared by a network of computers. So just think of it, the way I think about it is just one spreadsheet that's duplicated, an Excel spreadsheet duplicated, and it's saved on millions of computers, right? And every time there's a new transaction, it's a new line is added to that Excel sheet, and it's replicated across all the computers on the network. So the beauty of this is, instead of relying on a bank, one location that has all the information and is the intermediary between people, you now have a network of computers that is not owned by one person, hence the phrase decentralization. And I have that blockchain chart right there, where when someone sends a transaction or does something, a block is created, right? Like a Lego block, if anything. That block is then sent onto the network. The network does all their crypto verification. And then once it's verified, it is added to the chain. And the ownership or the transfer of money is now recorded on that blockchain, never to be deleted, never to be changed until the next another transaction happens. So you can literally go back to the first transaction ever. I don't know, I think with Bitcoin is 2009. You can go all the way back to the initial transaction. So for NFTs is just a digital asset that is minted on this technology called the blockchain. So when I think of everything that we're doing now, I think the utility lies in this technology, where it's distributed, it's secure. There's still there are things going on that you question the security, but it's secure, and it then gives a proof of authenticity and ownership. All right, so I remember when I started looking into the space, the thing that I was asking, I was like, okay, I was seeing NBA Top Shots, just videos of LeBron dunking, and people were paying thousands of dollars for this. I was like, but I could just take this video and own it and share it. Like, what's going on here? And I get that a lot. Like, can't I just copy it? So, I think as I said, the main utility or the main technology here is once this asset is minted on the blockchain, it has a proof of ownership directly to the person that mints it. So there's a sign of authenticity about this asset. If you go ahead and share it, that's great. In fact, I think there's some people in the space that are saying the more it's shared, the better, right? So the artist or whoever is putting it out there, they put out a limited amount, right, of tokens, because they to make it unique. But the more people spread it, it brings more, like I say, notoriety to the actual piece. So an example is the Mona Lisa, right? There's one in the Louvre. Well, I believe there's one. That's what we're told. But everybody goes in there, takes pictures. The more they take pictures, they share it on Instagram, share it on Facebook, share it on wherever it is. The more people want to see the actual thing, the more people care about the Mona Lisa, the more people want to go to the Louvre to actually see this thing. So it's I think the way I look at the space is you create an NFT for your community. You keep it like a limited resource, supply and demand. But then the more people talk about it, the more people get it out there, the more, will I say, the more the value of the asset increases. All right, so let me give you some examples here. All right, so the first NFT I bought was this by Gary V. And beyond just a JPEG, it has a whole bunch of things. It has access, is the art, there's utility, there's access, and there's community. So in this case, Gary V, here he is. I've been following Gary V for 7 years, maybe, just watching his marketing and sales tips on YouTube, learning about branding, learning how to, improve myself as a business person. And then he starts talking about NFTs. And I would be honest to say the only reason I went forward with this was because I just felt like Gary V wouldn't just run away, literally. Like, he will actually try to do something for the community. And if anything, even if he doesn't do anything, he will at least have this conference about business, about arts, about technology, right? So here's the art. He literally I believe he drew this himself with his pen, right? Boom, boom, drew it out, got minted. I believe there were about 10,000 plus in the collection, and it had different things. It had, different, let's say, characters. Mine here is a termite, a tenacious termite. I do consider myself as a tenacious person, so it really kind of resonated with me, and I was like, yes, let me hold that. And this is where stuff connects in terms of identity. All right. So that's the art. The utility was access to this conference. Now, VCon was done in Minnesota in May, and we're going to have access to, by holding this token, we're going to have access to this conference in 2022, 23, and 24 for 3 years, as long as we keep holding on to the token. And then while I was at VCon, I got an opportunity to meet Gary Vee himself, and have a discussion, very, very brief discussion with him, took a picture, and that is the access, that is the, the social currency. People also use their NFTs as a way to fundraise for causes that they care about, and I'll talk about some of that some more. All right, this is another example, as I'm very big into music. There's a platform called Royal. Royal helps fans, support artists by sponsoring and putting together NFT projects. So Verite is a Brooklyn-based musician. She launched her NFT. Right there is the art. That's literally what I bought. That was in my wallet. The utility is that I get a percentage of streaming royalties for a particular song that she has. And also access is, she literally got our, everybody that was in the community, all in Discord. She got our address, and she sent us a t-shirt, a long sleeve t-shirt, and a mixtape cassette, right? I haven't used the mixtape yet, but the t-shirt is literally what I'm wearing right now. It's a real thing. This is not in the metaverse. This is real. I'm wearing it right now. So you can see just in terms of even the utility of that asset, I'm already getting something right now beyond the access to the actual musician. So those are just two examples. There are a lot more, but I'll keep it moving. So where do we go from here? I believe that the opportunities are abundant. For me, the things I see right now are, ticketing systems. I believe a lot of events are going to be using NFTs. If you're like me, if I go for a concert that I really like, I like keeping my tickets as a souvenir. I believe that is going to be happening some more, where it's in your wallet. That's what you used to get into the event, and you just hold it as a souvenir. Publishing contracts for, I'll say, use music as an example. It is going to be a lot easier for people to connect directly with their fans and way to fundraise for their projects and get paid. A lot of things, real estate deeds, wills, personal identification, membership access into different things. And I think the biggest thing is the membership access. As long as you can think of this thing as a token that gives you access to, either somebody gives you access to a bunch of things, gives you access to a community. That is how I personally think about it. All right, so let's move on to how to participate. For me, my participation comes through doing and learning and doing and just trying to learn some more. You hear a lot in the space that education is the main thing that is required. I think everybody is still learning. Things are still new. Things are still being formed. There are a lot of experts out there, but I would say go out and do your own education. Don't rely on too many people to understand this space. when I look at the pros and the cons, I'll start with the cons first. As everybody can see now, we're in a bear market now. Things are down, which for people that are thinking long term is a good time to get in. But if this was November, everybody was just hyping this whole thing up, just kept it going. So just be aware of the like I say, people that are just being opportunistic. Those are some of the cons. Another thing is just, the FOMO, fear of missing out. Once you get in, you kind of want to put your hand into everything. You feel like you're about to lose out on something. Keep an eye on that and all the scams that are out there. And also, I think the biggest one for some people is the environmental impact of of cryptocurrency, mainly Bitcoin and Ethereum, that are using proof of work, and where they have to use all the stuff to verify transactions. It's very energy intensive, and there are now some currencies that are coming out as eco-friendly, where they're now switching to more proof of stake um, verification, which is a lot more eco-friendly. I think the main pros are, direct support to artists. I really do believe that the era of the starving artist is fading, where you have to be this suffering artist to get, will I say, recognition. Sometimes after you've gone. But I think now empowering artists directly is one of the biggest pros, and I think that we're going to see more people that, from sales jobs, from their 9 to 5, from corporates, leaning more into this space where they can now start tapping into their artistic inclinations, mainly also because it has some, like I say, financial rewards. Another pro is the sense of IP ownership and resale value for artists, where in perpetuity they can own NFTs, sell it, and every time someone sells their NFT, they can bake it into the contract that they get a 5 to 10% royalty from every resale. So every time someone uses and sells a piece of their music or a piece of their content, they can always still profit from their work. So I think it's a good thing when I think about it from a long-term perspective. But I'll implore most people also to think about it from a long-term perspective. All right, so educate yourself. The main ways I do that, I read a lot, Medium. I do a lot on Twitter for sure. And to be honest, I just got on Twitter. Like I just started on Twitter in May because of NFTs, right? That's where a lot of people are having conversations about it. And the last one is Discord. Discord is very good too. So just follow people, follow their projects. I've started talking up in Twitter Spaces. Twitter Spaces is more like Clubhouse, and it's a good way to actually have a conversation with people. And, there are all these talks of bots on Twitter, so at least you're talking to a human being. But you never know whether those voices are being faked. But anyways, these are ways for you to like educate yourself. I find it hard to keep up with all the stuff on Discord, right? So this is because I'm trying to run my business, trying to understand some of these spaces. I'm on LinkedIn for business, for some of the work that I put out there. Now I've joined Twitter, trying to follow up with that. Then now Discord, So I'll tell you, just find what works for you. You don't have to join all these things. Find a way that you can educate yourself and keep your mental sanity as a top priority. If you need to do all the make sure you have the right notifications settings. All right. So after you educate yourself, what is important? Safety. Safety is important. Don't get too carried away. Right? There are scammers. Scammers are always out there, and they're getting wiser every single day, trying to take people's money. The two main scams that I know of, I'm sure there are lots more, is giving out your seed phrase. So your seed phrase is a string of words that is unique to your wallet. Um, and it's, you can write it down. Some people write it down in different places and hide it in different places, but never give out your seed phrase. If someone asks you, hey, I want to drop something for you in your wallet, send me your seed phrase, don't do it. That's a scam. The next thing is connecting your wallet to a fake and bogus site. So there are a lot of things out there where they're like, oh, mint a new, they might use Gary V's name, mint a new V friend, and you just go ahead, boom, click. They take all your assets out of your wallet. That happens a lot. Don't do it. I'm sure there's some more, but those are the two that I know of. All right. So after you're stayed safe, right? Let's start by saying this. I'm not giving you financial advice. I am just telling you my process, right? How do you go from having cash to having an NFT, right? So take your cash, you take it to a cryptocurrency exchange platform like Coinbase. They don't actually have an office, so you can't take cash, but you know what I mean. Go put money in your bank account and sign up for Coinbase and transfer, buy stuff on Coinbase. A few notable currencies: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Polygon, Solana, Cardano. Those are some that I know. Those are some that I'm following. You would have to do your research to understand which to follow and why you want to follow it. And once you purchase your cryptocurrency, mainly I'm going to speak right now from the Ethereum perspective because that's what I've been doing the most. Get a MetaMask wallet. That's one of the main wallets that are being utilized. Coinbase just released their own wallet. I haven't used it much, but get a MetaMask wallet and then transfer your cryptocurrency from Coinbase to MetaMask. And then once you have your wallet, there's money in your wallet, you're now ready to go out there and buy some NFTs. You can go to an NFT market place. One of the biggest is OpenSea. If you have a founder or an artist that you're really interested in, they might have a website where you can mint an NFT directly by connecting your wallet. But then you go in there, you purchase your NFT. It's going to be the price of the NFT plus gas fees. So what is a gas fee? So basically, every time you're doing a transaction on the blockchain, there are a bunch of people doing the same thing at the same time, right? So when there are so many people that are trying to verify transactions, trying to make transactions, there is a lot of traffic on the blockchain. So at that point, the gas fee, which is, we'll look at it as gas that takes you from where you were before to you finally having your NFT or your purchase, the gas fee then becomes very high because the demand for gas is high. So whatever you are going to spend is going to be the amount for the NFT plus the gas fee. You can time it. You can time it. I think most of the transactions are coming from the US, it seems. So, the way to reduce your gas fee is, make your purchase while everybody in the US is sleeping. So, you want to wait till past 1 a.m. Eastern time, and gas fees start to reduce. For extra security, you could get a hardware wallet, which is like a USB drive you connect to your computer while you make some of these transactions. One that I know of is Ledger. I don't personally use it, but I'm about to get one because it's very important. So that's how you do it. You go from cash to your NFTs and the things you want to purchase. So how do you develop your NFT strategy? You can keep it very simple. Just back projects you believe in. Make it very simple. Make your thesis simple. For me, it was clear. I got into this because of music. I wanted to support more musicians, musicians that I believed in, and then I got into it because Gary Vee was organizing this event, right? So that as a founder that I'm like, okay, I like what it's doing. Let me go and support what they're doing and also get something in return. I'll say you make your thesis simple. The more I go into the space, the more I realize that there needs to be more inclusion. I started supporting more female-led NFT projects. I started supporting more Black and Brown people, African artists. And so, it's up to you to decide how you want to, make your resources help your community. And as I said earlier, beyond think beyond just NFTs and the name and the hype, and just think more about Web3 and where we're going. If always there's a lot of skepticism when something new comes around, but everybody now is comfortable doing Airbnb and jumping into Uber with strangers. If someone told you that in 2000 and in the late 2000s, you or if someone told you that in the mid 2000s, you might not think it will be possible for human beings to live in places with strangers and get in rides with strangers. So, even though there's skepticism here, just think beyond. Be careful. Obviously, you have to trust and verify, but think beyond that. The way I think about it is, I'm just trying to learn more about the space, and I'm also thinking beyond NFTs and just the economic opportunities, because there are so many new jobs being created, whether it's from a development aspect. Being a community manager is a very important thing, not just for NFTs, but even just having a business. So learning more about that, and it could be a career pivot for you. It could be anything. So just keep your mind open. I'll say feed your curiosity, because mine led me to purchasing my first NFT, and then I went to VCon and I met so many other people, and I'm just learning some more and seeing how I can apply it. So and it has empowered me enough for me to say, you know what, I want to try it out and create my own. So let me tell you a little bit about my NFT project. It's called Toffee's Domes. Most people here might know about my book, Toffee's Divide, dystopian novel based in 2049. Currently just won a science fiction award. Very happy about that. And for me, I was like, okay, how do I use this as a way to learn? How do I use it as an NFT project as an experiment? If some people know, in the last 2-3 years, I've published 2 books, and I've used this model where you crowd fund, you raise money first, you use that money to go publish a book. I did all that on Indiegogo, right? So my thinking is, how can I replace my Indiegogo campaign with an NFT project, right? Where I would have a community back my publishing process, and we can create some utility together, which allows me to publish more books, but also give people something in return. And for this, my experiment is, I'm going to create a collection of 405 unique assets based on the image of the book design, right? 405. Why that number? Because that's the number of pages in the book, right, of the first edition. And the utility would be the actual audio book. Everybody that actually backs the project gets a free audio book, and they then also get a signed copy of my next book that I'm writing, which is in the works. And it also gives you access to our storytelling community, where we write together, where we'll be having guests talking about the creative process, talking about writing and how to achieve some of your goals. And I want to use 20% of the funds raised to support an organization that reduces the economic, the narrative, or the digital divide in one of the 9 cities that I've chosen as a variation in the project. So, I'm really excited about this. I had to put that flashy variation so that you guys can see some of the work that my designer and I have been working on. The artist that created this, we worked on it together since January. She's the same person that created the book design of the book. I have different cities that I'm really connected to, starting from Lagos to Chicago to the Bay Area to Rio de Janeiro, London, New York. Those are places that I've been through and I've felt connected with city-wise. But the whole concept around the book is about the inequality in some of these big cities and how arts can be used to reduce that inequality. So I'm hoping that this project would be something I can use as an experiment, as a way for me to learn more about the space, but also use it as a way to find resources to start helping organizations that can reduce the inequalities in our cities. So before we move on to the questions, one thing I would offer is if you do join our Storytellers Lounge, right, the first 20 people that join for 5 months will get a free Toffee's Domes NFT. Now, there are already people that are joined, and I think some of them on this line, they already get a free airdrop. You don't have to do anything except for pay for the gas fees. You remember I talked about the gas fees. Yeah, so if you're interested in this space, if you're interested in figuring out how to, like I say, start participating, part of it would be, just follow the steps that I've talked about. Get some crypto on Coinbase, get your wallet ready. And then I'm just going to be sharing more resources and sharing more. And I hope you stay connected with what we're doing here at the Storytellers Lounge. And I hope you do have a pleasant Web3 not career, but or progression. So I'm going to open up to questions. We have about 15 minutes. So anybody, please feel free to jump in and ask your questions. I'll try my best to answer, but I know there's some other experts here that can even answer better than I can. So please go ahead. Let me see if there's anything here in the chats. Boom. Can we get your Twitter handle for sure? Like that. All right, so anybody?
Can you hear me? Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, it's low, but I can hear you.
Sec.
How about now?
Yeah, that's way better.
Sweet. Yo, thanks for organizing this. I think it's great to see a balanced presentation of NFTs and their utility, because to your point, I think what we hear about a lot is the ways in which folks have exploited NFTs for the worse, unsuspecting victims. So I think the question I have for you is, you've shown a model of, was it Mark V or Mike V, where beyond the NFT artwork piece itself, there is other, say for lack of a better term, tangible value attached to it.
Yeah.
Would you say in your experience that is the main way to make NFTs sustainable, both for the owner, consumer, and the creator?
I definitely think the utility aspect that's what makes sense to me. Like and I think to get more people on board, that the economic transaction, the immediate what am I getting out of this has to make sense, right? So for me, I just looked at it as, okay, I'm buying tickets to this show. I've bought tickets so many times. So that immediate utility, it took away my nerves of like, am I just buying some artwork, right? Some digital artwork where I don't really know the utility. So I think as time progresses, one thing I'm finding with some of these cool projects is the fact that you have this token, the amount of utility that the founder can add is endless, right? So, with for example, with the Gary V, he had, 3 years to this event. Okay, I thought that was all I was getting. And then he launched his second, will I say, variation of VFriends. And just because I was holding, a bunch of us were holding the first one, we got a second one, right? And then we got the tickets for the conference. And then during the I was about to say festival. It seemed like a festival, but during the conference, he and Snoop Dogg were on stage talking, and he was like, anybody that has this thing will get the exclusive Snoop Dogg and Gary V collaboration. So it's like he can just keep adding things, right? So for if you're I think for it to be fair for everyone, which I think a lot of people that are building stuff out in Web3 are thinking about fairness, thinking about it, right? Um, it has to make sense from a utility perspective. What am I getting out of it? And also just backing things that you believe in. And for the founder, as long as they have stuff to give, they can continue doing stuff. I don't know, Gary Vee could be, say, anybody that is in New York with this can go to Chipotle and use their card to get some free burritos. I don't know. So they could just keep going. It could just keep going for as much as the founder is going. Now on the flip side, there's some people that we've been seeing this. They come and talk about how great this project is. They get so many people they get celebrities to back it. A whole bunch of people buy into it. They take all that money off the table and they don't provide any utility, right? And so everybody's looking like, okay, where did that project go? I think if you look at it as a fundraising thing, if you look at it as starting a company, the question is, what would you keep doing with your company? So some people are raising 4 million, 5 million. This is like seed funding. So all of a sudden, your people that bought the tokens, they're kind of investors, or they even call themselves investors. So there's an expectation that they will get something in return.
Sweet, awesome. Thanks for that answer. I have another question, but I'll hold off in case anyone else has a question.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I have one question. How does this all play with the metaverse? How does metaverse tie? Can you explain that one first, and then how these NFTs can be, or is there even a link, or those completely separate things?
Yeah. So to be honest, I don't know much about the metaverse, and so okay, I see Carl putting his hand up. So if you can jump in and answer that question real quick.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
So yeah, so basically the metaverse, think metaverse, this VR headset, and then imagine just digital either land, but the metaverse concept is only built and supported through the blockchain because all those computers are connected to one block. So for us, if someone built out a platform on Ethereum, then we will all be wanting to spend Ethereum in that metaverse, or spend ETH in that metaverse. The only thing that makes it a metaverse is because it's either a virtual or AR environment, and you have to either have that headset on. But that's why people are buying land, because that's what they see the future to be. But that's not going to be a future for the next 3 to 5 years, because the technology is definitely still being built out for that. But yeah, that's the overall quick answer.
So would we be able to use...
I'm sorry, can you say it again?
So would we be able to use these puffy NFTs in the metaverse? Is that a thing, or am I?
So if these NFTs that he buys, if he was to set up a NFT gallery in on a platform such as Sandbox that currently exists, or there's other platforms that exist that you can have a very 3D environment on your computer. There's not a lot of applications that exist yet for the actual VR headset, which is ironic. But there's a lot of 3D applications, and that you like Sims for like a Sims kind of like environment. And if he wanted to put that NFT Tofi Device book in there, he could, but that's how it would work. That would be the metaverse.
I was going to say, Lalo, I think theoretically that's where we're supposed to be going. But as
Yes.
Carl said, it seems like it's still really far out. But from the metaverse and from building your land or from building your space, or for like retail companies that are building showrooms, etc., you could have non-fungible tokens that you display in your showrooms or in your land or in your house. So if you have a Toffee's Divide, I don't know what you're calling them, card, for example, you could have a space or a home in the metaverse and then have that be a gallery, you know, an art, I don't know, a picture or something framed on your wall. And I think that's part of like flexing in the metaverse versus flexing in the real life, using your NFTs to flex basically. But still really theoretical and far away, I think.
Yeah, agreed.
Y'all are giving me ideas.
So I think just to jump on that, like my understanding of what NFTs are, at least from I guess an art standpoint, is essentially a token that says you have the right to own this thing, and not necessarily owning the thing itself. And so, and to that end, my second question, Nifemi, is for the piece of art that you purchase from Gary Vee, right? That has all this utility attached to it, access to his events, exclusive access to meet folks, etc. Do you own that sketch and all the rights therein? So if you decided to modify it, if you decided to put it on a t-shirt and sell it, all that stuff, do you own that art piece? Because if you don't, I think that's a big part of NFTs that folks don't really understand, is what exactly do they own by owning that? And I think a lot of the crashes you've seen with titles such as Axie Infinity, etc., and why you don't see it a lot in gaming, which is the industry I work in, is a lack of full understanding of what the ownership of an NFT actually grants you and what it doesn't.
Mhm. So real quick, I think it all depends on the founder and the artist and what they're baking into the actual contract. So for Gary Vee's stuff, you don't own the intellectual property of what he's creating. He has made this clear that he's owning it. He's trying to create his own Disney. He owns these characters. They're going to be around for 50 years, and he has a full plan because he has been drawing these things since he was a kid, right? That's one thing. Then you have like an example would be like, I think bored apes.
Bored apes, yeah.
Yeah. Where it's almost like once you have a token, you can do anything you want with it. You can take that thing, you can put it on the shirts, you can resell the shirt, you can start a restaurant with the name of that, with your actual bored ape. So I think each project kind of defines what you want to do with it, and maybe
I was gonna say it's a matter of IP.
Yeah. So I think definitely people need to be aware of like what they're buying. The worst thing you want to do is buy something, think you could go resell it and start putting it on t-shirts and realize you can't. But the ones I know of, some of them are very clear as to you're getting this versus this, right?
Sweet, thanks.
Yep. All right. So literally for this call, we have 5 minutes, but I personally don't have anything in the next 30 minutes, so I can stay on to answer more questions. I know people have to drop off to go to other things, but so just feel free to keep asking questions and we'll take a few more. And if it slows down, we can end it on time, or we can just keep going for another 20 minutes. So are there any other questions? I think Paris asked, can anybody mint an NFT? Definitely. You can literally draw something on paper now, take a picture, go to either like, I don't know, Rarible or I think OpenSea. I think you can mint on one of these things. You just have to pay the gas fee to put it on the blockchain.
So one thing that most people don't know about is that there is a test net And I know that's a whole another like video or talk, but there is testnet systems out there that you are able to get essentially fake ETH, and you can go in and get that fake ETH deposit into your wallet. And I know this is probably going over the head of some people, but if you go do the research and you'll find it out. But you can test out this stuff without having to put real money into it initially.
Okay. That is good to know. That is good to know. I think what else? Which other question did I see?
Sure. Ozair had I don't know. I think Ozair might have raised it at one point.
Yes. Ozair, how you doing, man?
Yo, I've got to run, so I thought I'd just like DM you with the question. Let me know later. But thanks.
Anybody else?
Yeah, cool question.
Yeah.
When you create an NFT, do you have to, does it publicly become available to everybody, or do you have to post it on particular exchanges?
So that's a very good question. I don't know if I actually know the answer to this one. Carl, do you?
Yeah, I do.
All right, go ahead.
So when you post the NFT, so let's take OpenSea for example. If you post an NFT to OpenSea, it becomes public to everyone. It's like OpenSea is like your own personal profile. So it's attached to your wallet. You have your own username. You can put your social media on there. You can put your bio, all of that. And it shows all the NFTs that you own, but also the NFTs that you're selling. So if you post your collection on there, people can buy from your page. Do that.
All right.
All right, thanks.
So follow up there then, would say OpenSea, for example, Carl, be like not a museum, like an art gallery, and each person's profile or account is like their own little wing in the art gallery?
For the most part, you can look at it that way, but the direction that NFTs are going to go at some point is going to be gone beyond like, art and tickets and everything like that. So really, you're just looking at people's public wallet and see what they have in there. And it ranges, right? It definitely ranges to a lot of art right now. But that's OpenSea is not just for art. It can be like for music. It could be for books. It can be for so much stuff.
I see.
But using the gallery analogy, I guess I've seen people who sort of kind of are charting a path as an NFT curator, where they're selecting NFTs that are hot. You can see it on their OpenSea, and they're kind of using their OpenSea profile as like a marketing for them to show that they're picking the right NFTs that do really well.
Like an influencer would on Instagram or
to take it a step further, people, and there's no shame in this either. Creating a marketplace is completely free, so people go ahead and make NFT marketplaces through the Solidity code and brand it as like their own curated location for people to come and post and trade NFTs. So OpenSea is not the only version of itself. There's so many marketplaces.
Cool. Thank you.
No problem.
Yep. So I think one thing that I've definitely been interested in, and Carl, I'm going to ask you because we've talked about it a bit, and I know you know a lot about it, is the DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations, and how that is changing how organizations are being built.
I didn't know if that was a conversation today, but no, I can bring it up.
Yeah. While we're here, I just want to, if you can just share a bit about
bit about my experience too. Is like, so my job is working in the DAO. It's known as Aragon, ARAGON, like the dragon. You can look it up. It's aragon.org. But essentially what we do, we're a DAO that educates other people on how to create DAOs. DAOs is not the word. So just as NFTs, don't think about the word. DAOs is basically taking everything we already know now from NFTs, crypto and tokens like that, and we take that utility and make it mean something. We take that governance now and make it mean something. And what most people are, at least what we do is, when it comes to like, for example, like projects or bounties, or we consider bounties. People will put these up just because we need to get the work done. And if you're in the community already and support this idea, you will do it, not because you want to, but you also see a financial incentive behind it. But then there's the governance side of it as well. So every big decision that might need to have all eyes on, you'll submit a proposal and everyone in the DAO will have to vote on it using that particular token. I will be straightforward with you and say, like, this is a still building process. DAOs are definitely glued together through transparency. They definitely are transparent, but it's glued. Right now, everything is duct taped and glued to be as the best as possible as can. That's just because everything is still building. But but outside of that, the technology is very much there. We have our own tooling platform. We have our own software company. This is a global organization of people just coming from all across the country, bootstrapping themselves together to this project, just to see it come to fruition. And this project has been around, like, I know before I was even aware about it. And this time, I'm not talking about 3-4 years. I'm probably talking within the past 10 years they were doing stuff. So
okay, cool. Thanks. Yeah, there's so many things. Even for me, when the NFT space, I'm thinking primarily, obviously, about music or writing, but every time I'm still trying to, think of how I can apply it to my business, right? So I have a consulting business that, connects global organizations with opportunities across African countries. And what we do a lot of reports, like we write a lot of reports for them. And, some ideas in my mind are around, how do you apply what we're doing in the NFT space to different industries? How do you change a report to something that could be resellable for yourself and your clients, where you create a report together? And the way things work now, you give a client a report, they either use it or not. You hope they use it, and it's gone. It's competitive advantage for them. They exploit that advantage based on the information you've provided, and that's it. But I just remembered, when I first moved back to Nigeria to start building my business, I wish there were people that could share some of their old reports with me, because that would be helpful. So, as I think, even in this space, is more of how do you change that model where, businesses are more willing to share information because there's this financial benefit of reselling things like a report, where, that you and your clients that you made a report for can continuously make money every time someone sells that report, and that, royalty keeps coming back. And I'm just interested in how this could be used in, we see it a lot. We're seeing it in fashion, real estate, with people using it as a way to fundraise, to build places where only members can get access to the building. So I know we have people from different industries here. I'll be curious to hear what you think about how you want to apply it to yourself or whatever you're doing. So any more questions, or do you have a sense of how you want to maybe use some of this knowledge or even apply this in your industry?
Not to hog the airwaves. I feel like I've talked a lot during this Q&A session, but like I mentioned previously, I work in gaming, and it's definitely one of the things that we're thinking about, especially on the IP ownership side of things. As you can imagine, if you have a brand that's built up IP for the last 20, 30 years, it's not something they're going to want to give away, right? And there are a lot of legal repercussions for putting something out there in the open, even in, an innocuous, innocent form, where you could legally lose ownership rights. So we're currently in the process of trying to figure out how that could work. But from this talk, it sounds like there might be applications for things like events. So could I get an NFT pass to go watch some esports events, get some, tangible merch, give me access to devs if that's something I'm interested in, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, definitely something that definitely something to be thinking about along those lines. Maybe not so much for the games themselves yet, but for all the ancillary stuff around them, for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna also tell you, like, again, with that IP part, I think that's something that most people probably get wrapped up apart. It's like, just think, when people say metadata, it's a big word, but metadata really is literally the text you put in it for that NFT. So if you say in this text that it's tied to an IP contract, that's on you, because you set that up. But if you didn't set it up, then there's no reason to even go that route.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying, Carl, for sure. But we've had a lot of conversations with lawyers, just talking about, because I would, it's not a great example, but I would liken it to how sort of like Q-tips became the ubiquitous word for, cotton buds or Band-Aids and things like that. There's certain things that, regardless of what legalese you put around them,
I see what you're saying.
if you don't protect them adequately, even if you didn't intend for them to become like, publicly editable,
Right.
or usable, they just do, which is why folks are being really cautious. But I hear your point though.
No, I get what you're saying, because even the other day I was like, would I get in trouble if I start selling like these particular characters and digitally? And I really did think about it. I had to go and look into that to understand IP even from the reverse side. So I fully get it.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. So any more questions? Let me check in here real quick, see what's going on in the chat. This was great. Okay, thank you, Christian. Thank you, Paris. I think as a lot of you know, I'm very interested in the space. You'll probably hear me talking about this some more. There's maybe more chances for us to even do more sessions like this to build community. I personally want more people, more of my friends, family to get into the space. It's a space that is interesting. Obviously, there are things to be concerned about, but everybody here is intelligent enough to know if it's too good to be true, then they don't jump into it. Another thing I'll say is it's still a risky in terms of when you look at it from a traditional space, it's still risky. So don't throw in what you're not willing to lose. Right? Start small. Don't go all in. But at the same time, this is during this bear market where things are kind of low, the values are low. Is a good time to get in and start playing around and seeing and wait for things to go back up, because if you take a long-term perspective, things are going to go back up. Things have crashed. I think there's like the third crash now. So some of the OGs are like, we've seen this before, but every time it comes back stronger. So if you want to look into it, these months are when you should be looking at it and looking at how to play into the space. What I'm personally interested in right now is how I can get involved in more, will I say, eco-friendly chains. I've started looking at Cardano a lot because they have some things connected to the African continent. I believe they just onboarded about 5 million Ethiopian students that are going to be using the blockchain as a way to, for their report cards. And then it could be go down the line where this is used as a certificate to even get a job or a certificate of identification. So, those are things that I'm curious about. I'm going to keep researching, and if you're in the space, always reach out. I'm willing to share what I know, but definitely do your own research. And yeah, that's it. If put it out there one more time, if there are any more questions, otherwise we can end this call soon. So I'll just leave it for another 10 seconds. If anybody has anything to say, please say it now. All right, quiet. Thank you very much for joining in. Really do appreciate your time. And, we are here at Storytellers Lounge. We hope you can join us, to improve your writing skills, your communication skills, and to build with us. For us, we see NFTs as a way to improve our storytelling skills and, will I say, put our storytelling in perpetuity on the blockchain. Thanks for joining, and have a great day, have a great week, and we'll stay connected. Peace, everyone.